maybe this is correct. Maybe drag queens should be twerking in front of kids. And it's like, who's speaking out against this, dude? Yeah. And so few people. So it's like, dude, at least us.
Well, I'm very happy to have Mr. Jones here today. If you don't know who this is, you live under a rock, this is who we call Garand Thumb.
Garand Thumb.
When you made your YouTube, were you like, yeah, this name, this is it, baby?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, another guy made the name right around the same time, maybe at the same time. And he's angry at me because he still holds, has that.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah.
How's that going for him?
I don't know, he shoots CMP competitions. He seems to do well. Yeah. What's great is that like chat AIs and stuff like combine our two bios. So it says like I'm like a grandmaster CMP competitor too, which is
you're just stealing all his stats, dude.
I know.
You are his arch nemesis. You realize that?
No, I am for sure. I hope the guy's doing good. He doesn't really talk to me. He has like a page talking about how much he doesn't like me too.
Oh man, well haters gonna hate, man. Haters make you famous. I've been watching a lot of your interviews. I'm a big fan of yours.
Did you watch the Haley one? That was a good one.
I did watch the Haley one. Yeah, Bridge Too Far, and there was a lot of military talk in that one, a lot of serious stuff. So I really wanted to not do any of that.
We're not very serious with each other.
I can't be serious. I mean, if anything does come up, this is going to be a rather rapid fire interview. I wanted to talk more about your content creator journey, as cringy as that does sound.
No, it's not. It's interesting, right?
Yeah.
It's a weird job, dude.
It's a very weird job. To me, we live in a weird little, going from what we're used to, right? Being government employees paid to carry a gun. Now you're making YouTube videos.
Or paid to carry an axe when I was a survival guy.
Still it with the seer stuff. This isn't that podcast.
Easy big boy. Oh, cool.
So I was going to ask, what was your initial waking up to making YouTube videos?
I've always loved content creation. I think it's interesting. You get to make people, you force people to see it the way I see it, right?
Yes.
This isn't written, it's not like audio. Rather, precisely what I want you to see is what you get to see. And I think that's very interesting because everybody's going to look at things from a different perspective. So by kind of forcing a perspective with audiovisual, which I'm sure you're aware of, I know you're very into it as well. Yeah. I can kind of force a different narrative, force you to kind of see things in a slightly different way. So I've always loved it. I've always liked making little videos, and ever since I was in high school, I did drama. I did a lot of sports, but I also did drama when I was in high school, and so I always enjoyed like making little short films. And then, once I graduated college, made a couple short films there, and I kind of started getting more into it, and I really loved guns, and I'm like, well, maybe we could make some cool gun content, and I didn't for a really long time, but eventually I did.
Were you making content before doing the high-speed Air Force stuff? Or was it when you got into the Air Force and you started making content about guns?
It's when I got more serious about it. And I didn't for a long time because I had to cut my teeth on the training for a long time. You don't really have a lot of time to, as we talk about military, you really don't have enough time when you're going through training to like make good content. So, for the longest time, I wasn't making anything because I was just focusing on the job. I was doing that. I was getting through the training. I was getting through like the certification process after I earned my Sage Beret when I was a SEER guy. That took a lot of time. So for the longest time, I didn't. I kind of broke away from the creativity a little bit. I still made like our team videos, so like our graduation videos. I made those. So I still tried to film stuff as we were going through the training, but certainly my creativity took a little bit of a backseat. But we're both kind of creative people, and so it's always been kind of an outlet for me. So
I would agree. I remember I had an old YouTube channel when I was just making stuff. I almost hit 1,000 subs.
Congratulations.
And when I became a cop, I pretty much had to nuke it. So I just didn't want any thing coming back to bite me. The environment.
There's a lot of liability when you're a cop, much more so than being military. I couldn't imagine doing that as a police officer. Mojo, as you know, he's a police officer and he does it. And I can't imagine kind of the hoops he has to jump through. I know we've talked about it a little. That's for an interview with him, but there's a lot behind it.
Yeah, well, I remember watching my police department's recruitment video, and I was like, dude, that is the hottest garbage I've ever seen.
It sucks.
It is so bad, man. And it made me re-spark that interest of I don't want to get back to making YouTube videos. And it was cool because now I had cut my teeth in a world where I had something more to talk about to add value, at least to the gun crowd, right?
Sure.
Now, I don't have 20 years of special forces experience or being a high-speed guy, but...
Neither do I.
You have some credit. If you get paid to me, if you get paid to jump out of a helicopter or get jumped out of an airplane with guns, that's a little bit more credible than certain things. Well,
it sounds way cooler than it is, dude.
I know.
It wasn't that cool.
To be fair, I did get to like take home all my stuff. They're like, "You want an SBR?" It's like, "Yeah, here you go." I didn't get to keep it.
Everyone has an SBR nowadays, except they're just not registered.
Well, legally, that's a joke.
Illegally, for legal purposes, that is a joke.
For Your Honor, I was making a goofball.
Yeah, man, I don't know. The military is cool, but it's not nearly as cool. You know, you don't want to hold it to a pedestal. It's a cool job, but it's still a job.
At what subscriber number did you think like, oh, I could really go full time with this? For me, when I hit 10,000 subs, I was like, if I lean into this could be something.
That's a good question, man. I had just gotten back from Arctic survival, and I had just like published my first video because this was over my winter break. I made like 3 or 4 videos on like plate care setup and pack setup. I kind of rapid fired a couple.
Yeah.
I kind of set up my little filming area.
This is back when you were good, when you had the black screen.
Exactly, back when it was a good content.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to those comments in a second,
sure.
But I don't want to derail you.
Sure, and so I made kind of 3 back-to-back, and they ended up getting like over 100K views kind of on their own. I was like, oh, I think I'm on to something. I think I've identified a space that maybe isn't being filled adequately with current content. And I'm like, oh, I think I could probably do this. It wasn't really a subscriber count for me. It was like a view count. So it was the first 3 videos, and I was like, okay, well, I think I'll just continue to do this week after week. And that was 2017. Now it's 2023. We haven't missed a week, so I guess it never stopped. It sounds a little tiring when I think of it that way, but. I mean, you know how it is.
You get going, you enjoy that high.
Yeah, I do. I mean, once you're on the train, man, it's kind of hard to just hop off, but to get onto that train is tough.
I saw a younger me from 2017, and I made a Garand Thumb reference in this video. And I was like, oh, I've been watching Mike for a long time, man. And that one was like, oh, this goes way back, dude. That's kind of crazy.
It's been around for a while, man.
Yeah.
I still see people referencing those old videos, and I'm happy. That's cool. I'm glad I've made an impact. I knew it was something a little bit more special. You know, my specialty back then was survival before I moved into TACP and everything. But, you know, I remember one guy was like, it's like a year after the video's released, he's like, hey, I got like lost in the fucking desert in like Moab. I was like, oh shit. And he's like, yeah, I was like lost for like 2 weeks, and I had packed my survival pack like you had taught me, and it actually saved my life. Like I'm home with my family now. I actually keep in contact with that guy.
Yeah.
He's got like a wife and kids now, and I'm like, that's fucking cool, dude.
He survived.
Yeah. So like, if nothing else, this man now has a wife and kids. At least in some small part because of my video advice, and that's really cool to me. You know, more so than like all the views and everything, and the little dopamine hits from seeing that and seeing good comments. It's really cool to know that some guy's living a good life, you know, like a happy life, and is doing good things because of that. So that I derive great joy when my videos add some bit of substance to somebody's life. You know, like I know that whether it be police departments or military or civilians, they watch a lot of the ballistic videos to take away good references as far as like effects on target and stuff. And I'm like, cool. Like I'm glad I can help in some small way, in my own little autistic way. I can, you know, provide some informational tidbits. I can, you know, do more than just, you know, being an entertainer or something, you know, because we are entertainers at the end of the day. If we were good, we'd be paid to like instruct.
Oh man. Yeah, so here's something I've been thinking about, and I'm curious what your advice would be. Because I've been starting to get asked this more and more by guys that are like, hey, I want to start a YouTube channel. What advice do you have? Now, there's something to be said about being the level that you're at, right? And it's like you've gone so far away from just starting on this journey. Is there like anything that you think of advice-wise for guys that are like, hey, I want to get into the gun sphere of creating content. This is something I'm looking into.
Yeah, sure. And so it was a different world when I started, when you started. I think when I started, it was FPS Russia, Hickok 45, and Demo Ranch and stuff, but it was smaller. It was a smaller space. There's kind of more pie to eat into, but now it's a little bit more dense. There's more content creators. There's a lot of really good content creators now. So if you're gonna get into it, you know, the price of entry is a lot higher than what it was. Back when I started, you know, filming on a tripod of me shooting was state of the art, you know, and filming on a black screen with a lapel mic was state of the art.
You watch the Avengers movies to see if Scarlett Johansson's boobies will pop out. Hit the subscribe button.
Now that's the standard. Minimum standard is having like a Sony A7S III and, you know, DJI mic or something like that. But back in the day, it wasn't that big of a deal. So your price of entry is a lot higher now.
Yeah.
So because of that, the work and the kind of the entry fee is just going to be exponentially more. But if it's what you want to do, it's what you want to do, man. So do it, have fun, enjoy yourself. If you have something to offer, if you feel like you have something creatively that you can enrich people with, do it. If you're just doing it for the money, no. Go be like an investment banker or something. Go make money. But if you really like doing it, then do it, man, for sure.
Yeah, get into the arena of getting criticized.
I mean, criticism is just whatever, dude.
Yeah.
I remember when I first got my first mean comment, it was like, I was like,
why?
I was like 2.5K, and some guy was like, I can't remember exactly what he said, but I was like, oh hurt my heart.
They
and I was
don't like me?
Well, yeah, because I mean, who would say that to you in real life?
No,
actually come up to your face and say that kind of mean stuff. But then it's the internet. Now you get them like a million a day. You're like, whatever.
It's a dime a dozen.
Post physique.
Yeah, I will definitely say if you are looking to create content and you can't handle the stress of being mean comments or people hating you, then it's like you don't want to step foot.
It's a lot meaner than it's ever been in history, I think. Yeah. I think the meanness is at a different level than what I experienced when I first started.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I don't know why. Maybe it's just life's kind of shitty. There's inflation and unemployment and a lot of bad things happening, so people are going to cope in whatever way. But it's definitely a lot meaner than it's ever been.
Yeah. Hey, if I'm a good outlet for someone that's going through it and they want to call me a mean name on the internet, hey, I guess that's my cross to bear, brother.
You can call me a mean name. I'll be okay with it, I guess.
Okay. I'm out at the flat range getting paid to shoot guns. I'll handle a little heat for that.
I'll be okay. I'm on my ranch. I have beautiful views. I think that's the interesting thing about it because people watch this video and they're like, "Oh my God, millions of views." And but I mean, you've been there for filming. It's me, you, and Micah, or it's just us on. Can you see any other houses from my ranch? You can't see anybody. It's just endless mountains out, and you're just completely alone. So there's no audience. But in reality, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 million people watching you. But when we're filming it, it's just us in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
In the sun, just shooting, doing dumb stuff, and having a good time. It's always wild to me going from filming to editing and stuff, and then to posting, because people assume it's like some big deal.
Some grand ordeal.
Some grand ordeal. It's like, no, we grab a couple primes and some water, we head out with some ammo and guns, and we film a video and we have a good time. But really, it's just us. It's very quiet. It's very peaceful. There's no noise out there.
I don't know about you, man. I think some of my favorite moments, and I feel very excited, is when I do get in front of the camera. I don't know if that's a weird, what that is scientifically going on, what that is. Maybe it's like a weird ego thing, but and I don't know if it's just something innate about you if you are that type of person. I don't know if you ever feel that. I feel like an asshole saying something like that, where it's like, I feel alive in front of the camera. Yeah, but it's you're out there, you're doing what you love.
You're nice and young, dude. You're still feeling the excitement. I'm very excited to be on camera, and I love doing it. I'm not giddy anymore when I get on camera. Not because I don't love it. Maybe it's just because I've done it so. It's gonna sound kind of jaded, but I don't know. I've done it a lot at this point.
Yeah.
So I'm just pretty calm when I'm on camera. The thing I enjoy the most is I get to come to fruition is my idea. Yeah. Whether it's a stupid skit that we do, whether it's a fun informational video or science to see what the fuck's going to happen. I enjoy watching these ideas, filmed and to see what occurs. And from filming to editing, because sometimes you film it and you're like, oh, that's going to be dumb. And then you edit it and you're like,
well, that came together.
That was good. Yeah. We got some good editors, but
dude, I don't know about you, but when I get guys out for skits, and it's they don't have a YouTube channel, so they're not always thinking about this, or they're not always being in front of camera. But I'm like, no, trust me, this is gonna be funny. You got to go through with it. You have to coach guys through it, kind of you're directing.
Well, sure, physical comedy. In a comedy club is going to be way different from comedy that's filmed.
Way different
because of the way you edit and everything. Charlie's jokes suck. No, I'm just kidding. But no, there's a lot of editing that goes into it for those comedic moments and the comedic timing and everything. It's something that's learned over time, I guess. But
it's like you're playing to an edit. You're not playing to an audience.
Yeah, it's much different from what you expect. Yeah. Watching a video getting filmed is not nearly as exciting as you would think. A lot of people want to come out and watch them.
I know. Yeah, they'll be like, "Okay, come out and hang out and film." I'm like, It's honestly really boring because it's all right, we got to do that again. All right, we got to do that again. Okay, no, I messed up. Okay, now we got to do it again. It's not like a performance.
We just do it one take. Fuck it, dude. Let's go.
See, I can't do that. I have to compete, Michael. I have to give it my all.
There's nothing to compete with, man. We're all just doing it, dude.
Did you have to kind of separate yourself from certain people as your channel started to grow?
Yeah. I mean, for sure, man. Yeah. What's the way to say it? I mean, this goes to not just people in business, but relationships and tons of stuff, right? Think about girls that you've dated in the past. Would these girls always have something good to say about you at the end? Probably not always. And maybe for girls that you dated, you'd have bad things to say about them. You're the bad guy in a lot of people's stories, and you're the good guy in your stories. But I guess my point is that there are people that are going to be act not quite themselves around you, where they'll be perceived as a bad guy, but around other people, it's going to bring out the best of them. You know what I mean? It's like some people can get married and get along, but if that person got married to somebody else, they're just not going to work out. Sometimes the best is brought out in you, sometimes the worst is brought out in you. So unfortunately, we worked with some people where the worst is brought out in them when they worked with us, and we ended up having to separate ourselves from them, to whether it be protect the brand, protect my sanity, protect whatever. And that sucks. That's not fun, because I just want to be nice and get along with everybody.
Right. I think when you commit yourself to a mission such as this, it's such a weird, different thing. It's perceived as like this happy-go-lucky endeavor, but to you, this is like make or break.
Well, sure, yeah. I mean,
some people just aren't on that wavelength, and you have to be like, all right, well, it's not going to work out.
It's fine, man. I don't really begrudge anybody. I don't think that there are, of course, people that are bad, minor attracted persons.
Right.
The people that I associate with are gun guys, and I think generally good guys. I think just sometimes they're not always presented to me in the best light because of circumstances, and I really don't hold anything against them if I have to separate myself from them. It's just, they'll have better success away from me doing something else, or vice versa, being away from me in something else, and that's totally fine. But to answer your question, yes. 100%. A couple good cases of that.
So the reason I bring this up is because I see, and I try and help out a lot of newer creators when they pop up, and you can kind of see things that they're going through that you went through, and it's like, hey, heads up, you're heading for a bumpy road up ahead. Because as you grow, some people may not be able to grow with you.
Yeah, and I've been lucky in that, like, all the main people on the channel, we've never had issues with. It's usually been background individuals, but like, my first camera guy, Mitch Fife, was actually another SEER guy with me, and we're still really good friends with him. I moved away. I got stationed somewhere else, so of course he can't be the camera guy anymore. And then I was stationed at a new base, and I had a new guy. We had Anthony Belford. He was my camera guy for a while when I was in Texas, but then of course got stationed somewhere else. So it's like that stuff. It's just like, you're stationed there, and I have to find a new camera guy, but. With anybody we've had to separate with, it's been nobody that I think the audience is going to know. It's always been background individuals that we've had to deal with. But I've been lucky in that sense that all my kind of main crew has been awesome to deal with. So the main crew right now. You got Charles and Mike.
Great guys.
Awesome guys. So it's been nice and smooth sailing. I think the most unfortunate nature of getting larger has been like becoming more corporate. You have to structure your company in certain ways in order to protect the company, to make sure that you can't get sued out to oblivion. You just got to make sure you're doing smart things. So
this is something I wanted to bring up because you were talking about this off camera. You were talking about CEO stuff with Onward and the responsibility that gets incurred, right?
Sure.
Because I think there's a type of dude that is like, go out, start a business, get after it. And I also think there's a type of person that's like, I don't want that responsibility. So a beautiful thing about, I think, being a YouTuber is that you can have essentially a skeleton crew of guys. I just got two guys behind the camera right now. They're very handsome and pretty, and I adore them.
They are.
But you don't have to worry about trying to be like a boss. And then when you take on the financial responsibility of being like a CEO, I think it adds this whole nother level of stress to the plate that I think some guys are either don't want or do want.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm the idea man. I'm the implementer, all that kind of stuff. So owning a company has been like not like a struggle or anything, but it's been a new learning experience. I have like a business coach to help me through all this because there's a ton, dude. And leadership is difficult. And I say that having done it in the military as well, right? I went through a bunch of leadership schools, both as an enlisted and as an officer and stuff. It takes a lot of development to be good at it, to understand people, to balance, the need to get work done versus the human factor of it all. It's just not easy. So lots of learning, but it's been good, man. The good that we're doing with Onward is really important to me. It's always been like a dream to be able to implement my own gear. So
speaking of Onward, I was gonna ask when you plan to implement some sort of mech suit that could amplify the deadly output of the human warrior, amplifying the biomechanics.
If you've seen District 9, one of those the exosuit that screws into the spine, our design.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I knew that had a Mike Jones flair to it. I mean, I do have high expectations that you will bring this to market.
With any luck, man. With any luck. Where do energy weapons fall within the ATF's guidelines? Can they be sold directly to the house? I hope so.
I think you're good, man. They weren't covered by their unconstitutional laws. Wait, give me that dog.
Give me that dog.
Give me that dog.
Give me that fucking dog.
I want that dog. Hey, kitty, kitty.
It's not going to work. He's eating the arm.
It's perfect. I'm happy this episode has devolved into pop culture District 9
I know.
Yeah,
it was quick.
It's actually pretty on brand.
It didn't take much time.
Yeah, whenever people like me, they don't see us when we get together, but essentially it's just an entire conversation between two grown men making movie references.
Yeah, unfortunately, we like a lot of the same things, so like movies and music and stuff. So
Same facial hair.
Yeah, and so we
Shirts.
just kind of same style. And,
Yeah, that's kind of.
What's it like being knockoff Garand Thumb?
Oh yeah,
That's my favorite comment.
Yeah.
Is people. My favorite comments are, "Oh, good job copying XYZ," or "I liked your old content better."
Yeah, that's a good time. Is that criticism? It's really weird that people want you to always kind of like backtrack.
What's familiar?
It is familiar to them, and it's like, hey, at a certain point, you got to evolve with your content,
Yeah.
you know. And I know this is like a very geared towards the creator style format that we're talking about right now, but it's like, dude, you really do need, because the competition is so fierce on YouTube.
Unfortunately,
whether you want to like it or not.
It's a different world. I mean, we have at times gone to older content to see how it does, and then it's consistently a fourth of the views of the newer content.
Could you imagine doing the content that we're doing now? Back when you would have started.
I bet you, man, there wouldn't have been a market for it because it was too different.
You think so?
I think there's phases of everything, dude.
Yeah.
I think that there's going to be phases of people on black screens talking about guns and black screen talking about gear. And then that topic will get exhausted to death, and then people will do science, and then people will do some other things, and do survival, and then it will cycle back to, oh, what has gear done in the last 7 years, because we haven't revisited it. I think everything will come in cycles. The content will be slightly different, but like there's certainly a periodization of content. Our gear videos consistently perform some of our worst.
Yeah.
There just isn't as much of a hunger for them nowadays, and I would suppose it's because it's been done to death, because a lot of gear companies are established, and now these companies like Spiritus and Faro and even Cry are not producing their own content so well that maybe there's not as much of a question about what gear is good and what gear can be used together versus, back in 2017 when I first started, there really wasn't a lot of education. Like, how the do you put this all together, and what do I need on my kit? And this is all well understood now. So, content that works back then won't work now, and content that works now probably wouldn't have worked back then. We might have come out with a video of like, hee hee, haha, I'm firing an MG42 at myself. But back in 2017, the thoughts on SBRs, it wasn't what it was today. People forget that everything's, within increments, right? There wasn't such a blatant disregard for SBR laws as there are today. Back in 2017, people legitimately get angry at you about that stuff.
Oh, you didn't tax stamp? Let me see your tax stamp.
All the time. People used to call my serial numbers off my guns all the time, dude.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I started taping over them because I got so tired of it. There's a time for everything, I guess is my point. And you got to find that content that's going to be good, and then you got to be, bold enough to experiment with that new content to see what sticks and what the audience is going to be interested in. You just never know. We'll see what's next, man.
Where do you think, and I don't know if you want to say it or not,
No,
if you're
I'm
holding your
good.
cards close, where do you think the trend is going to go as we move on?
Well, I was surprised at how quickly the survival kind of, reconnoitering kind of side kind of, floated and then died off really quickly. When we started our series, it got pretty big. Maybe it was just primed. Things were kind of weird in the country at the time, and I thought that series would take off, but the series petered out. People stopped watching and stuff. So I was surprised at how quickly these kind of phases come and go. So what's next, man? I don't know. People have been talking about preparedness so much, and the prepared citizen, and preparing for whatever may come, but that's been kind of beaten into the ground so much that it's not become a meme. So you can kind of see these cycles where it's like this novel concept is introduced, the novel concept becomes popular, then the novel concept then becomes memed, and then it decreases in popularity because when you post it, you become memed, and then it decreases, and then it goes away, and then 7 years down the road, it comes back up.
I'll bring back carry handle rifles. Yeah.
Have you heard of Blood Diamond? I based my personality off of it.
I'm Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah.
Well, it's like when we made a video about retro guns, right? And it did great. But like if we were to do that video right now, no one would care because everyone has carry handle guns. Not because we did it, but we just kind of we saw the trend upcoming. We made a video on it. So God knows, man. Sometimes it's what a content creator does. Sometimes it's what happens in the world. The Ukraine war really popularized this idea of bringing back infantry tactics and really taking a hard look at like the Ranger manual and the Ranger handbook and understanding these concepts more because that became very important. But you look back to 2017 when that wasn't nearly as important. It was all raids. Well, everyone structured all of their gear around raids. You know, it really depends on what's happening in the world conflict-wise. You'll see the gear trends go towards that. Because I know I've seen it, or I'm sure you've seen it too, from 2017, from soft worship, where everyone did plate carrier belt. I mean, everybody did it, right? And high cut helmets and everything. And then as we went to the end of that conflict, that ended pretty poorly, and then the Ukraine war started. Yeah. And suddenly you saw the trend back towards infantry tactics and large loadouts and webbing on the helmets and scrim, and suddenly we're back to 1980s Cold War kind of tactics and stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Digging trenches.
Yeah, but I mean, as a military guy, you understand that all these things are taught at once, and you know all these things. But it's hard to have all the time in the world as a guy who's working a 9 to 5 be able to ingest all this material. So it's kind of periodized based on what's happening in the world, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just things are going to be popularized. Based on whatever's happening. So, the moon spider wars are next. So someday we're going to be talking about exosuits and zero gravity weapons. Who knows?
As we take on the aliens and the UFOs. Yeah.
Who knows, man? But you'll really see that trend following kind of wherever the conflict is.
Yeah, I think there is something to be said about what's going on. Definitely how we tie into and how we also help push that
100%, man.
Propaganda, I would say.
100%.
I feel like I'm giving you a word salad that sounds retarded.
No, you're good. I don't know if propaganda is a word, but people's interest is going to be piqued by kind of what's happening in the larger world, of course, right? Yeah. You want to know more information on it, and so it's just kind of the natural trend. There's not anything wrong with it. A lot of people are quick to criticize that, be like, "Oh, you talk about the war in Ukraine." Well, yeah, of course. It's what's occurring in the world. People are going to be interested in current affairs. There's nothing wrong with being interested in that. We don't always have to be unique and quirky all the time. Yeah. It's okay to be interested in what's happening in the world and familiarizing yourself with it and taking a good life lesson or learning from it.
I think there's definitely something to be taken away from a near peer conflict.
I'm so quirky.
Oh, Ukraine. Unsubscribe. Imagine like Texas going to war with California, and then or essentially a civil war here, and how that would play out with modern gear and equipment and all this going into it. Like it's kind of like what you're getting with that to me. I could be really off the mark,
I don't think you're wrong. I think when COVID occurred and all the riots occurred, and after George Floyd and everything that occurred around there, people got legitimately scared. They're like, "Oh shit!" Like there's these huge riots happening, and suddenly I'm not sure if my family's safe. Like we're talking about complete breakdown of society and law. It's like, what the do I do? Like, what do I carry? What's good? And so, of course, people's interest is piqued. And
I think there may be a flow with what's happening in the real world and how it correlates to gun YouTube, in the sense of, like, in peacetime, how we are right now, the more fun, lighthearted videos, of course, are going to do better. But when everyone starts to get scared and worried, it's like, hey, this is your plate carrier setup, and everyone's like, oh God, I got to know this. Like the test is coming up.
Yeah, well, everything's periodized, man, right? So whatever's happening in the world, people are going to be interested in it, and that's human nature. Yeah. Not a fucking thing wrong with that, dude. It's just the way we operate. If things are good, we're going to want to continue to believe that they're good. So sometimes you can fight against that. Sometimes we'll put out content that's kind of against the grain to see what's going to stick, and it doesn't.
It's always good to rock the boat.
It does. To be clear, we're not rocking any fucking boat. We're just content creators, dude.
Well,
but we have a good time. Yeah. I'm not at all like conceited in believing that I'm changing any like thought process or anything.
No.
But, I hope we can add, I guess, good value to the conversation if it's something that we understand and know. I think it becomes dangerous when you're getting into the conversation without having a good foothold in reality and what the actual material is, right? A lot of people getting into CQB when that isn't something that they're intimately familiar with is dangerous, obviously. Right?
So at the PD, I was trained on CQB. But my training for CQB is you're looking for like a crackhead in a warehouse. You're not looking for an armed dude with a PKM who's hopped up on meth.
Sure.
Like that's two different levels of what, and like I always think about this stuff, right? And it always worries me when I do see guys, and this is going off on a tangent, but like the CQB topic, it's like, the CQB you're training for versus what you maybe actually do. If you're training for like cop CQB, which is like, okay, you're very like slowly clearing a structure, looking for a person that's not supposed to be, like one person that's not supposed to be there.
Sure.
Well,
that CQB is going to be very different from what's taught at Darcy, one of the premier schools that comes to CQB versus, whatever school you go to. Different experiences, different things. I remember when we did our video on CQB, people were like, the correct way to do CQB is just to burn the house down. I'm like, well, I mean, depending on the situation, I actually don't disagree at all.
We have this flamethrower. shower.
It's a monkey with a grenade. Hey, shit ass. Toss it into the building. I'm like, well, yes, depending on the situation.
I was at this airsoft event, and the Russians were holding down like the third-story building, and they're like shooting PKMs through the grates. It's all airsoft.
Oh, it's intense.
And the Rangers that were attacking us were getting so mad. They're like, we would have just dropped the JDAM on the building. It's like, yeah, this is airsoft, dog. Like,
yeah, airsoft. This is not the way the world works.
Yeah, of course you're not going to take our fortress.
Let me get my fake qualified JTAC to do this.
War game, you have lost.
No, funny enough, I actually did meet a lot of like JTACs when I went to the Milsim game. So I mean, he's like, no, I'm going to call it a real one.
I'm going to call it, watch this. Oh no.
Oh God.
Well, the airsoft platoon just got vaporized.
Oh Lord.
Oh no.
It is. I mean, I think doing content creation, you get a little bit jaded because you're constantly just kind of, you're the punching bag, you know?
Yeah, you're just trying to see what works, and you have to take that full brunt when the audience is like, hey, that
a lot of time the content's not going to be good. The content's not always going to be good. I'm sorry, you know?
Yeah,
sometimes you're going to have a miss.
I will criticize, I won't criticize. I will poke fun at Mr. Beast. I don't like to criticize other YouTubers, but I will poke fun at him because he gives me like Soy Jack vibes with his thumbnails.
Oh, I refuse. I understand
Yeah.
that we can actually try it in a second. I do understand that doing thumbnails in his style will get me more clicks. Enlarging the eyes, big expressions. You ready? Ready? I mean, I know it's going to do better, but I can't because it's so unmasculine to do. It seems so anti-masculine.
Whenever a video does poorly, I have to remind myself, and he said this, is that you replace the algorithm with the audience. Mm-hmm. And it's like, all right, that is very humbling. You have to take that L whenever something doesn't do well.
Man.
But yes, let's get to the topic of degeneracy and the war on it in 2023.
Let's go, dude.
We've talked about it, but you've been much more vocal about taking on and calling out the unacceptable behavior that goes against what God commands us to do.
Yeah, agreed. Well, I think like a lot of people, man, I'll be really candid about this because I don't think that there's any reason to mince any words. But you know, when in 2008, when everything first started going down, you know, I was a younger kid, and I was like, all right, whatever. Okay, I don't care. You know, I really didn't think it would affect anything. But of course, we're here now at this point where we're trying to have drag queens twerk in front of kids, and I'm like, the slippery slope was quick.
Some public schools and libraries invite drag queens. Some dress like torn demons to read to young children.
Yes.
With under 15 years, under 20 at the very least. And, you know, I saw the slide happen so quickly that it's insane. And now that we're involving kids in it, man, I just can't. So now we're fighting against it pretty hard because, you know, we on the channel, we're Christian-based, dude, and we do believe that there's a right and the wrong. And I know that's really hard for people to come to terms with because everyone's like, oh, there's grays, oh, maybe it's slightly acceptable. It's like, no, there is a right and there is a wrong, and a wrong is 100% going to be twerking for kids. Like, it's ridiculous, dude. So we're going to fight against that. We're going to fight against the things that just aren't correct, and that's angering a lot of people, but frankly, dude, I'm just tired of it, so I really don't care at this point.
I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, you're going to die, and you're going to have to answer for your life and what you did.
Facts, dude.
And there is
for the bad videos you made too.
For the bad videos you made, God's going to be rather displeased. But I mean, the life you lived and what you chose to take a stand against, it's like there is a much more eternal goal in mind.
You know, what does Micah always say? Micah has a good saying about this. What is it? Your word is worth more than silver and gold. Is it Psalms?
Throw it up in the edit. Throw it up.
We'll throw it up in the edit.
Yeah.
The point is, it's something that we thought about a lot. That's something we stuck to a lot. But we originally said it when referring to like being objective and making sure that we're being truthful in our videos, like never, you know, shilling for a company or never allowing ourselves to be bought out or anything. But that has now turned to, you know, speaking out against things that are wrong.
Yeah.
Because so much of the media now is just so up, dude. It can seem like it's the popular thing, like it's the right thing, because every media source, every actor is pushing this. You'd be like, man, maybe this is correct. Maybe drag queens should be twerking in front of kids. It's like, who's speaking out against this, dude? And so few people.
They won't let us in a gay bar. They're just gonna have a bunch of children dressing here in drag.
So it's like, dude, at least us. Yeah. At the very
I'll
least.
die on this hill. I don't care.
I don't mind, dude. I'll fucking die on this hill.
If anything, there's I wish for it's the last stand with the boys.
It's the last stand. Yeah, dude. It's just like so few people are speaking out against it. I mean, I say that while all my friends already speak out against it, but I'm talking like popular media that like, I figure somebody's got to do it, man. If I can have some small impact there and like at least save sanctity of children, like Jesus, dude.
If there's anything I'll die on a hill for, it's to protect the kids, man. There is nothing more than I would go out in the sense of protecting and saving children.
Did you see the one pedophile or whatever the fuck they call themselves nowadays? They caught him. They're interviewing him, and they're like, "Hey, what's like the youngest that you've like seen?" In my mind, like hearing this statement, I'm thinking like 9 or 10, I imagine, is what he's going to say. And he's like, "Well, I don't know." They're like, "Well, there's a difference in like what a 17-year-old looks like and what like a 12-year-old looks like. Like, what was the youngest that he had?" And he's like, "Infants." And I was like, "Yeah, we're getting there, dude."
I want to be strong enough. I want to be strong enough to where I can, with my bare hands, rip and separate the jaw from the head of a grown man.
Doom style.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. So when I heard that statement, like I said earlier in the video, that I don't think there's a lot of evil people, but I did not say that there weren't evil people. And
no, there is evil.
There is very evil.
If you believe in God, if you believe in Christ, then there is evil, and then I think this world makes a lot more sense. Why is porn free? Why is porn free, Mike? You can hop on the internet anytime you want, and it's going to dull you to the world. It's going to dull your relationship with Christ, and that's something that I personally I'm becoming much more vehemently against, because I get it. Your carnal desires are very powerful, and the world will say, "Hey, do what makes you happy. Do what you feel is right. Go against everything that is the higher power commanding you to do." And it's like, it's just so not good for men, and it's making this world.
It is actually damaging for the brain.
It's scientifically it's damaging to the brain.
I mean, that's not even talking spiritually,
right? But
scientifically, it is an addiction. It does cause those addiction cycles within the brain, which is terrible for you.
Yeah.
Beyond that, we're not even talking spiritual and your relationship with God and everything. But I mean, not to mention the way we're also degrading women, and we're breaking that down, right?
Yeah.
Dude, like it's insane. It's gotten just insane. So.
I will say the world it feels like a madhouse.
Yeah, it does.
It feels crazy. My word of encouragement is, if you read the book, we win in the end.
If you read the book, we win in the end. And I take great solace in the fact that the people that I know, and almost all the people I associate with closely, who are my close friends, all believe the same thing.
Yeah.
So there is craziness in the world, but I do believe that there are a vast majority of very silent, sane people that are afraid to speak out because of how vocal this other side is. So understand that you guys aren't alone. And it's scary when you first start talking, because people are so violently against it and so violent towards you when you start mentioning it. But there's a right and the wrong, man. So deal with it.
Yeah.
Now, on a slightly funnier note, I did see a good meme about this pretty recently, and it said, in about 10 years, we will be approaching the golden age of bullying, because you'll be able to find, your 10-year-old friend or a guy you don't like, and you'll be able to look back onto his mom's Instagram and find HD videos of his mom breastfeeding him when he's like 4. And we're approaching that really rapidly.
It's gonna be really fun to see. Like, I'm gonna have my kids bully all the other kids that had OnlyFans moms.
It's terrible, dude. Like, porn seems so harmless. Like, I'll just sell this, sell that.
I'll sell a picture of my soul for $4.
For $4, and I get it. You're making the money, but it's like, man, your word is worth more than silver and gold. So it's like there's something taken from your soul for doing that type of stuff.
I would say so. Yeah, selling the most precious thing you have to offer for $4, and to not even be in the top percentile of that market. I think I heard a statistic where only like majority of them only make like $150 a month off of it.
Not a lot of money.
Imagine selling your soul for $150.
I'd rather, do some construction work or something.
I'd rather
maybe do some gardening or something.
My sister in Christ, maybe work on yourself and become palpable to getting married.
Maybe just grow like vegetables, because I feel like the savings from that are going to equal a little bit more. Plus, a lot of vegetables that are grown nowadays are so depleted of minerals because of soil contents. If you grow them yourself, you have better mineral content, better vitamin content in them. So I feel like the savings from gardening are going to be more than the money earned from OnlyFans.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
I'm just saying, maybe the way to save this world is to go back to gardening.
Return to tradition.
Return to tradition. The Industrial Revolution and its consequences. I've said this many times, but despite doing social media, I do think that social media is really bad for humans.
I think so.
I don't think it's good for us. I'll definitely say that it's definitely hypocritical of me then, right?
Absolutely.
Because I don't think that social media is very good, but I think that the message that we can carry is good. I think that the Second Amendment is something that's very important. So making content on that, to do some what we call social engineering, to make the younger generation understand that liking guns is okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, and it's cool. And it's not just cool, but when you get a little bit older, you're going to understand it's actually your right, and not just your right. It's a God-given right, and it's actually ordained by God to be able to protect yourself, your faith, your family, your rights to live. And it's important to put it out, because if all I watched was, Joe Schmo from Hollywood, who's like, there are 400 mass shootings a day, blah, blah, blah. It's like, they're going to think guns are terrible. So as terrible as social media is, we're going to use it for the good that we can. Yeah. That being said, I do believe that social media will probably at some point lead to whether it be like a nation-ending war, if it hasn't already, to doing horrible psychological damage to young kids, especially young girls. Horrifically terrible for that.
I want to keep my kids off social media. I don't want to show them off to the world on social media. Mm-hmm. I want to educate them in a boot camp style when they do come of age. Like, this is what to expect. I don't plan to give them the keys to infinite knowledge that is going to destroy them. Yeah. Like, it's just, they may sound like, oh, you're being conspiratorial, being closed off. It's like, imagine wielding all that power when you're not ready. All that, anything you can search, anything your heart desires that you can consume. It's not a good idea. It really is the tree of forbidden fruit, my man.
Raising kids is tough, dude.
It's gonna be tough, man.
Raising kids is tough, man. I got 4. It's such a struggle to know when you're doing the right thing, how much internet do you expose them to, so that they're not like, so that they're understanding that, because they know how to use it, because it's going to be so integral to whatever work they end up doing. Even if they end up being a farmer, they got to know how to work a computer to do internet. But then, are they getting into weird shit? How do you monitor that? What's the privacy level at? How do you balance all that? Versus, there's never any good answer. I think so. Every kid's so individual.
I will say, as much as I do dislike social media, I'm very grateful because it helped me escape the real world of working, and I get to make YouTube videos.
You're still working. It's just very enjoyable work.
Yeah, it's much more. I take a lot more gratitude. Well, man, we covered a lot of things.
Yeah,
we talked about a good litany of stuff.
Yeah, how long have we been talking about?
We got to get you out of here, but I appreciate you coming onto the channel and doing this interview with me. It means a lot. You are one of my dear friends, and I look up to you. So
I love you too, Aaron.
I got to let you know that I do love you. So.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Oh my god. All right, we're getting out of here. We'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Run out. Come on.
Oh. This guy. Hey,
dude, I'm really happy you're here today. I wanted to talk to you about